Grant Cardone's addiction story is well known. But here's what nobody talks about. He used the same obsessive personality that drove his drug addiction to fuel his success. He transformed his addiction to cocaine into an addiction to working and winning. The result? A $5 billion real estate empire, millions of followers, and a global brand. This story is the incredible proof of how your greatest weakness can become your greatest weapon. The principles you'll discover will show you how to channel any obsession in your life into success. This isn't just a recovery story, this is incredible proof of the power of the human mind and what obsessive personality can accomplish when channeled correctly. Grant Cardone today is not just a billionaire real estate investor, but also a best-selling author, motivational speaker, sales trainer, and social media phenomenon. His story shows that even your darkest moments can give you power. Because what Grant discovered is this: the brain that creates addiction can also become addicted to success. Obsession isn't a bad thing. Being obsessed with the wrong things is bad. How did Grant Cardone transform from a cocaine-addicted loser in his 20s to a global icon with a billion-dollar empire in his 50s? What mental strategies did he use? Most importantly, how can the lessons he learned change your life? This story will prove that success isn't just about having the right personality. It's about using your personality the right way. Grant's journey is living proof that anyone can transform their obsessions into power. Grant Cardone was born on March 21, 1958, in Lake Charles, Louisiana. The Cardone family was a middle-class family with 5 children. Grant's father, Curtis Cardone, was a successful businessman who tried to instill a strong work ethic in his children. But Grant's childhood was far from easy. He was a hyperactive child who was constantly in motion. He had trouble focusing in school, and his teachers saw him as problematic. In today's terms, he had ADHD, but back then this condition was just seen as being bad. Grant's first major trauma occurred when he was 10 years old. His father, Curtis, died suddenly of a heart attack at age 52. This event deeply affected Grant and left a huge void in the family. There was no longer a male authority figure in the house, and Grant began to spiral out of control. After his father died, Grant began struggling even more in school life. He couldn't concentrate, couldn't focus on lessons, and was constantly interested in other things. His teachers and family thought he was lazy. But in reality, Grant's brain worked differently. During high school, Grant began getting involved in sports and music. He played saxophone and basketball. These activities gave him some ability to focus, but his academic performance was still poor. Grant's biggest problem during childhood was constantly feeling inadequate. His older brothers were more successful. His mother constantly held them up as examples. This situation created a huge need to prove himself in Grant, but he didn't yet know how to channel this correctly. In 1976, Grant enrolled at McNeese State University. He chose the accounting major because his family wanted a safe career. But college became the beginning of bigger problems for Grant. In college, Grant began enjoying his freedom. There was no longer parental control, and he could act however he wanted. What started as just alcohol and parties gradually became more dangerous. Grant's biggest problem in college was his lack of purpose. He didn't know why he was studying accounting. He had no plans for the future. This feeling of purposelessness drove him to seek more escape routes. In his second year, Grant tried cocaine for the first time. This became the biggest turning point in his life, but in a negative way. Cocaine was a perfect fit for Grant's hyperactive brain. When he used drugs, he felt calm and focused. After this first experience, Grant began using drugs more and more frequently. Initially, he only used at parties, but over time it became part of his daily life. Grant's college grades began to drop. Instead of going to classes, he was busy finding and using drugs. His friends were mostly people doing the same things, so he saw this situation as normal. In 1980, Grant barely graduated from college. He got his diploma, but in reality, he had no skills and no goals. Worse yet, he was now a full-blown drug addict. After graduating from college, Grant's situation got even worse. He was now a full-time cocaine addict and was having problems in every area of life. His first job was at an accounting firm, but he couldn't work properly because of his addiction. He was constantly late, missing meetings, and his performance was declining. After a few months, he was fired. This firing became a series. Grant would start a job, work for a few months, then get fired because of his addiction. Every time he said, "This time will be different." But the same cycle repeated. Grant's addiction wasn't limited to just cocaine. He also turned to alcohol, marijuana, and sometimes other drugs. His goal was to stay constantly high because facing real life was too painful. During this period, Grant's relationships with his family also deteriorated. His mother and older brothers could see his condition but didn't know what to do. Grant was constantly lying, asking for money, and using the help given to buy drugs. One of his worst moments was stealing money from his mother's house. Grant took money from his mother's purse to buy drugs. This incident caused trust in the family to be completely shaken. Grant's biggest problem during his addiction period was constantly seeking more. He went to extremes in not just drugs but everything. This obsessive personality trait was driving him to addiction, but it was also laying the foundation for his future success. In 1987, when Grant was 29, he experienced the worst moment of his life. That day, his family had no strength left to endure, and they admitted Grant to a rehab center. While lying in the hospital, Grant faced reality for the first time. The doctor told him very clear things. If you continue like this, you won't see 35. Your brain and body have suffered serious damage. These words deeply shook Grant. For the first time, he felt this close to death. The person he saw in the mirror was someone he didn't recognize, weak, sick, and hopeless. During the 28 days he stayed in the hospital, Grant tried to understand the psychological roots of his addiction. Therapists told him that his addiction actually stemmed from identity issues. His most important discovery was this: Grant's obsessive personality used the same mechanism as being addicted to drugs. He had a tendency to do everything excessively. This trait had made him addicted, but the same trait could also lead to success if channeled correctly. A counselor in the hospital told him, "Grant, you're not an addictive personality, you're an obsessive personality. The problem isn't what you do, it's what you're obsessed with." This sentence changed Grant's life. He understood that the way to overcome addiction was to change his obsession. When leaving the hospital, Grant made a promise to himself. He would turn his obsession with drugs into an obsession with success. After leaving the hospital, the reality Grant faced was harsh. He was 29 years old, had no career, had an addiction history, and it was very difficult to find a job. Initially, Grant started working at the family company. His brother Gary Cardone was a successful businessman and wanted to give Grant a chance. But he had a condition: if you make one mistake, you're gone. Grant approached this job with the same obsession he used to quit drug addiction. He began working 12-14 hours a day. He was interested in every detail, acting like a perfectionist. In the first months, Grant focused only on survival. Every day he decided not to use drugs again, but at the same time, he was trying to be perfect at work. Grant's approach to work was different from other employees. He wasn't just doing his job, he was trying to dominate the job. This approach caught his brother's attention. After a few months, Gary began giving Grant bigger responsibilities. Grant showed the same obsession in every new task. He did whatever it took to be successful. Grant's biggest discovery during this period was this: success was also addictive. When he reached goals, the dopamine release he got was similar to what he used to get from drugs. Grant was learning to channel his obsessive personality correctly. In the early 1990s, Grant stepped into the sales world. This decision was the most important turning point in his career, because sales was a perfect field for his obsessive personality. His first sales job was selling automobiles. Grant approached this job obsessively, like everything else. He worked 12–14 hours a day, trying to give the best service to every customer. Grant's approach to sales was unique. He wasn't just selling cars, he was building deep connections with customers. He saw every customer as someone who could change his life. In his first year, Grant became the top-selling sales consultant in the company. This success gave him great confidence. He now felt that he had left his addiction past behind and was a successful person. But Grant wasn't satisfied with this. He didn't want to just be a good sales consultant, he wanted to be the best. So he began learning sales techniques. Grant read sales books every day, attended seminars, and studied successful sales experts. He showed the same determination in learning sales that he had shown in finding drugs during his addiction period. Within a few years, Grant became the most successful car salesman in his region, but he had bigger goals. In 1995, Grant decided to transition to the real estate sector. He was successful in car sales, but there were bigger commissions in real estate. In the real estate sector, Grant applied the same obsessive approach again. He studied the real estate market in depth, observed the best agents, and began working 18-hour days. Grant's first year in real estate was challenging. Unlike automobiles, real estate was a more complex business. But Grant didn't give up. He learned from every failure and constantly improved himself. In his second year, Grant made a big breakthrough. He focused on luxury real estate sales and targeted wealthy customers. This strategy worked, and by year-end, he became the company's most successful agent. But Grant's real goal wasn't just to sell, it was to invest. He studied the properties he sold and learned what types of investments were profitable. In 1999, Grant made his first real estate investment. He bought a small apartment unit and rented it out. This investment was the first step of his real estate empire. After this first investment, Grant began obsessively studying real estate investments. Every day he followed the market, analyzed opportunities, and planned for bigger investments. What Grant discovered was that real estate investment provided passive income. Once he invested, money worked by itself. In the early 2000s, Grant decided to start his own company. The company he named Cardone Enterprises would provide sales training and real estate consulting. Grant's decision to start a company was a natural result of his obsessive personality. He was tired of working for others and wanted to build his own empire. In the first years, the company was small, but Grant's goals were big. He wanted to become a nationally recognized brand, not just local. Grant's approach in the company was based on lessons learned from his personal addiction period. He tried to instill the same obsession in his employees. In 2005, Grant made his first big real estate deal. He bought a $25 million apartment complex. This investment showed that he was a serious player in the real estate world. After this deal, Grant began making bigger investments. He aimed to buy not just a few apartments, but large complexes. Grant's real estate strategy was simple: buy properties that provide cash flow, have value appreciation, and long-term rental potential. This strategy worked, and Grant's real estate portfolio grew rapidly. In the early 2010s, Grant discovered the power of social media. He applied his obsessive personality to social media strategies as well. Grant began posting 10–15 times a day, YouTube videos, Instagram posts, Twitter messages. He was active on every platform. Grant's social media content usually included motivation, sales techniques, and real estate investment advice. But most importantly, he shared his own story. He didn't hide his addiction past. On the contrary, he used this experience as strength. He showed people that even the worst situation could be overcome. Grant's social media followers began increasing rapidly. He began to be known not only as a real estate investor, but also as a motivation guru. During this period, Grant discovered an important thing. Personal brand was as valuable as business. He constantly worked to strengthen the Grant Cardone brand. As Grant's success increased, he decided to write his story as a book. His first book, The 10X Rule, was published in 2011. In this book, Grant explained the philosophy of his obsessive approach. The 10X Rule says, make your goals 10 times bigger and increase your efforts 10 times. The book achieved great success and made Grant a nationally recognized author. But he wasn't satisfied with this. He continued writing more books. The common theme of Grant's books was extremism. He taught people to stop being average and try to be dominant in every area. After the success of his books, Grant also started a speaking career. He gave speeches at big conferences and provided training to companies. The feature of Grant's speeches was that they were very energetic and motivating. He didn't just give theoretical information. He used his own transformation as an example. In the mid-2010s, Grant's real estate portfolio reached billions of dollars. He was now not just an investor, but the owner of a real estate empire. Grant's real estate strategy evolved over time. He began buying not only apartment complexes, but also office buildings, shopping centers, and industrial properties. One of his biggest deals took place in 2017. Grant bought a $3.2 billion real estate portfolio. This deal put him among the giants of the real estate world. The secret of Grant's real estate success was obsessive research and analysis, as well as correctly reading market trends. He invested thinking not only about current value, but also about potential. 10, 20 years later, Grant's real estate empire today exceeds $5 billion and continues to grow constantly. Alongside Grant's professional success, transformation also occurred in his personal life. He married Elena in 2004, and they had 2 daughters. In family life, Grant tried to use his obsessive personality positively. He focused on being the best father to his daughters. Grant's family knows about his addiction past and learns from this experience. He tries to be an example to his children about correctly channeling obsession. Elena Cardone also actively participates in Grant's business life. She has a say in important company decisions and is Grant's closest advisor. Grant applies the 10X rule even in family life. He doesn't want to be an average husband and father. He tries to be the best. Today, Grant Cardone is in his 60s, but still has the energy of his 30s. He has created multiple income streams through real estate investments, books, speaking, and social media. Grant's companies include Cardone Capital, real estate investment fund; Cardone Enterprises, sales training company; Cardone TV, digital media platform; Cardone Ventures, venture capital firm; Ventures, venture capital fund. Grant's total net worth is over $300 million, and his real estate portfolio exceeds $5 billion. But perhaps his most important success is having influenced millions of people. Thanks to Grant's books, videos, and seminars, thousands of people have changed their lives. The most important lesson that can be drawn from Grant Cardone's story is that obsession can become a superpower when used correctly. The same obsessive energy Grant had during his addiction period was also present during his success period. The only difference was what he focused on. He discovered this principle: your obsession cannot be destroyed, it can only be redirected. Strategies Grant used: 1. Raising obsession. The first step is not rejecting your obsessive personality, but accepting it. 2. Choosing the right goals. Directing your obsession toward goals that will grow you. 3. Embracing extremism. Focusing on being dominant rather than trying to be average. 4. Movement. Using obsessive energy in constant action, not in inactivity. Grant Cardone's success formula is based on the 10x rule, 10x thinking. Make your goals 10 times bigger. This forces your brain to look for different solutions. 10x action. Increase your efforts 10 times. Most people expect a lot of results with little effort. 10x patience. Think long-term and be patient. Big successes take time. This formula is the system Grant used in going from addiction to becoming a billionaire. After listening to Grant Cardone's story, ask yourself these questions. What is my obsession? How can I turn it into power? What area can I focus on becoming dominant in? Because the transformation Grant experienced isn't just his story. This is proof of the limitlessness of human potential. He went from the worst situation to the best situation because he learned to channel his obsession correctly. You also have areas in your life that you're obsessive about. Maybe social media, maybe games, maybe other things. What Grant teaches is this: don't try to destroy this obsession. Use it for success. Today, take action. Identify your obsession and start using it for success. Apply Grant's 10x rule. Make your goals 10 times bigger. Increase your efforts 10 times. Remember, your greatest weakness, when used correctly, can become your greatest strength. Grant Cardone proved this. Now it's your turn. Don't be afraid to be obsessive. Just be obsessive about the right things, because success is also addictive, and this is the most beautiful addiction. Now get up and take action. Grant's story isn't finished. He's still continuing to grow. Your story is just beginning. Remember, your rock bottom can be the starting point of your rise. Grant Cardone lived this. You can do it too. If this story inspired you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because as Rise Stories, we will continue to bring you many more real stories that turn obsession into power and change lives.